Hello, welcome to Coming In Hot. My name is Abby Baird, and this is a new live stream with the Let's Talk Supply Chain. And I am so excited to get started to talk about what's going on in the next generation of supply chain management. And that's exactly what our show is about. We are focusing on the next generation of supply chain management because as a part of that generation, we are going to be really a force that's going to change what this industry is going to look like. And I'm just so excited to bring this conversation to light because it really is an important conversation we should be having as a part of next generation, but also a part of the current generation of supply chain and how we can incorporate all these generations to create an even better industry overall. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Abby Baird, and I go to the University of Arkansas. I'm a senior supply chain management and Spanish student, and I have, for the past year, been working with Let's Talk Supply Chain on our TikTok account. If you don't know already, Let's Talk Supply Chain has, in my opinion, a really awesome TikTok account where we really focus on the next generation of supply chain, and we're bringing supply chain management to TikTok, to a space it has never been before. We're highlighting new voices, new platforms, and I get to lead that, and it is just so much fun. But I also want to talk a little bit about my supply chain journey. So like I said, I study supply chain at the University of Arkansas, and I love supply chain. I truly believe it is so much change can happen because of supply chain. Like it is going to change the world. And I just feel so excited to be a part of it. And you see it in the world around you, and it sparks so much change. It has such a passionate community behind it as well. And it is just, especially as this new generation enters the space, it is going to continue to evolve. But I'm also super excited for this live stream. This is a really awesome, just a really great platform to talk about the next generation, to share ideas and to share comments and have these conversations. So I really encourage you throughout this whole entire 30 minutes we have together to leave comments, to ask questions, because the more we talk about this topic, the more change we can spark. And I am so excited to bring my very first guest ever, someone so important to me, to the stage. Everyone, the one and only Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. Welcome.
Hey, Abby. I am super excited to be here, although it's a little bit different because I'm on the other side and I'm a guest this time, and I can't stop myself from going for the comments and things like that within StreamYard. But I am so excited to have you host your own show as a part of Let's Talk Supply Chain. I mean, you have done some amazing things with our TikTok. You are doing amazing things in supply chain, as well as amazing things for women in supply chain as a part of WISE, which I'm sure you're probably going to be talking about on the show at some point. And yeah, just super excited. I think you're going to bring some fresh new perspectives to the industry, and you're going to be talking about some really relevant and important topics. So I should probably introduce myself, I guess, just in case. So Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain podcast, media brand, as well as the Blended podcast, which is our newest conversation in diversity and inclusion. So Abby, take it away. Thanks so much for having me on your first show.
I know, so fun. Thank you for being here. It means so much that I get to share my very first live stream with you. And you already brought in something that's been really impactful to me as the next generation. And it's actually how you and I met, is that at University of Arkansas, I'm involved in Women Impacting Supply Chain Excellence, which is a phenomenal organization to be part of, truly life-changing. And Sarah actually spoke to us last summer in the midst of quarantine, all about her journey to supply chain, what she's doing. And as I'm sure everyone knows, if you've been following Let's Talk Supply Chain, even the slightest, she has so much passion. And I don't think I've ever told you this, Sarah, but like I was a huge fan before you spoke to us, and you came to the meeting, and I was like, I was fangirling, and because I'm super outgoing. I love to have conversation. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cool. And then she reached out about having this really innovative idea and welcomed me with open arms. And I've been on a part of the team ever since. And it's been so transformative. I think it's really introduced how important the community within supply chain is and how passionate and just truly unmatched it is. Like the work that we're doing in supply chain is so important, but it's the community that really makes it worthwhile. But like I said, I'm so excited to have you here and to really start this conversation. Like I said, the next generation, we are entering the industry, either just entered, we're continuing to enter. And as the industry evolves, it's so important to be having conversations about the current generation can interact with my generation and how the next generation can interact with the current generation. Yes. So Sarah, I think one thing you do really well is actually engage with the next generation. I'd love to know like why you're so passionate about it and why you think it's so important to really develop and like build these relationships with the next generation.
Yeah, I think, we need to innovate in our industry, right? Everything is ever evolving so much. I think 2 years ago, we said the knowledge base is changing every 1.5 years, and I'm sure that it's changing much faster as we stand here right now. And so innovation then becomes more important, new perspectives, new ideas. And I think, it's refreshing when we can bring diverse perspectives to the table. And because of the speed of change, we need to do that quickly, right? We need to make sure that we're bringing in diverse perspectives from across the globe. And that doesn't just mean the next generation. I mean, that means people in general. And I think we're making big strides. But when you're in my generation, most of us fell into supply chain. And now you guys are strategically going to school and taking these courses and, making sure that you have a career in supply chain. And I think part of our responsibility is to make sure that this is a welcoming community for you and to show you what opportunities there are. It's not just men in a warehouse, right? It's not just truck drivers. There's so many more opportunities that could be had. So totally passionate about it. I think the industry needs it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I love what you say. I think supply chain is an amazing vessel to bring awareness to sustainability, to bring awareness to diversity and inclusion. And I know the work we're doing on our TikTok that's definitely like a long-term and short-term goal is to be bringing voices of people who don't look like us, who are from different places, who might not even be studying supply chain, because like you said, a lot of people have just fallen into supply chain. And I think it's so important to hear those stories because everyone has a story to share. But one thing I'd love to talk about is just, you already kind of talked about it. I think as supply chain evolves and we continue to evolve, we do need to continue to innovate. And so I think it's beneficial for us to recognize the differences between our generations. I think there's so many special qualities and uniqueness between the generations that when we focus on that, we can better utilize our strengths to evolve this industry. And I think one thing that you said that I really loved is that my generation, we're pursuing supply chain. Like a lot of the current generation, a lot of them have just fallen into it. And that intentionality behind it is, I think, that intentionality behind wanting to be a part of this industry and wanting to evolve it and change it is really a huge difference between our generations. And also just the knowledge base as well. Like knowledge is power. And so when we're going to school and we're learning about all these different roles, we can't help but innovate it. And so I think recognizing those differences and being able to use those differences to actually form unity to evolve together is super important. You already kind of touched on it, but like, what do you think are some other like qualities or just characteristics that could potentially be different between the generations that we should really hone in on and use to our advantage?
Well, I mean, think about it. I did not grow up with an iPad in my hand. but I'm pretty sure your generation grew up with an iPad in your hand and you knew how to use an iPad by the time you were like 4 or 5, right? For me, it was a gradual evolution of these really big boxy screens and maybe playing games on it to maybe, writing out a school project, to eventually having one in the palm of our hands, right? And so for us, technology has kind of been a gradual thing. For you, it was right from birth. And so I think that really gives your generation a really big advantage, right? Because you're that much further ahead, where we've had to really learn it from different stages in our career and different stages in our journey. And so your capacity to understand and learn the technology, I think, is that much easier, right? And to really roll with the evolution of what that looks like. I think we should say hi, though, to some of the people in our comments, don't you think?
I think we should as well.
I'm so excited that they've joined us today.
I know. Welcome, everyone.
You know how to do it? You just need to click on their name. Okay.
I was like,
here I am. I'm sorry. This is also a teaching moment.
I was like, we're learning, we're evolving. Well, I was like, we have Claudia from Chicago, born and raised in Argentina.
Yes, Claudia's amazing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I am also a student of Spanish, and so I admire you. Well, thank you for being here, Claudia. Who else we have so many amazing people. I'm just so excited to begin this conversation. And like I said, if y'all have questions or just comments about how you view the next generation, the way we pursue it, please let us know. We also have Melanie. So good afternoon, Melanie. She's from Canada.
Yeah.
Toronto.
Yes, Melanie. Yeah, and I think she's joined us on Thoughts and Coffee previously as well. You've also got Lynn, who's here with us as well, and Shazad, who's coming in from Pakistan. And we've got somebody on YouTube coming in hot from Trinidad and Tobago. And let me tell you, my husband's family is from Trinidad and Tobago. They're from Trinidad. So super excited that you could join us. That's awesome. I haven't been to Trinidad yet, but I'm definitely gonna be there. Hopefully soon. And you've got Jorge as well.
I was gonna say Jorge is also from Argentina. So I think it's awesome that we already have people from all over the world with different perspectives to bring into this conversation. It's so crucial. Oh, wow.
Brazil.
That's so awesome. From Brazil. I mean, that's just amazing that we get to. And honestly, speaking to your point that we were just talking about, technology allows us to have these conversations. And that is a whole new part that the next generation is going to bring into supply chain, is that we get to utilize this global technology that is going to just continue to bring unity and connection within the supply chain. And I think a piece of advice that you've always given me is stay on technology, pursue it, innovate it. And because if you're not tracking with technology, that is a potential way to honestly get left behind and not continue and move forward with that innovation. So I'd love to know from the audience what skills that you think the next generation could possibly develop even more, or skills that you think the next generation utilizes really well. Because as the supply chain evolves, new skills and new skills, hard and soft skills, are going to be needed. And so it's important that the next generation comes equipped with that to succeed and to continue to evolve this industry that we all love. So I'd love the audience to kind of leave some comments and just your thoughts on that, and the ways that honestly you think the next generation, their strengths and their weaknesses, because I think it's really important to acknowledge both. I also think something that's really important to acknowledge with the next generation, and almost kind of not necessarily a difference, but it's just how confidence and empowerment and the idea of success has evolved as well. Because I think just how supply chain evolves, some people have fallen into it. Well, I have chosen to pursue it and to study it. And so how we fall into it, how we fall in love with it is going to change and evolve as well. And therefore, the skill set that goes with confidence, empowerment, and success is going to change. So, Sarah, I'd love to know your thoughts on what you think that means to the current generation and what it looks like right now for the next generation, and how that could evolve, and how the next generation should really utilize those skills to succeed in ways that they can actually channel that. Because I think sometimes I think the next generation can often lack confidence and empowerment. And so I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I think it's really about trying everything, right? So you don't know what you like to do and what you don't like to do unless you try something. So for me in my journey, I've always tried different things and really had a good understanding of what I like to do, what I don't like to do, what I'm good at, and what I'm not good at. Because I think if you have a foundational understanding of who you are and what you want to be, as far as, different opportunities and different things that you could do, then I think that's really going to set the stage and give you the confidence, right? Because at that point, you know what it is that you like to do and what you don't like to do. Mm-hmm. But also having the confidence to try everything and to try new and different things. I think the other thing to really understand for the up and coming generation is I think you need to understand data. We talk about data all the time, and you need to have a good understanding of data, what it needs to look like, how it can help, how you can utilize data to really change the conversations internally, changing the mindset internally as well. And I think, the up and coming generation needs to be those champions as well, to say, hey guys, if we're not doing this, we really need to be doing that, and having the confidence, but respectfully having the confidence to bring some of those ideas to the table. And finding your voice is not easy. It took me a long time to find my voice. I'm hoping that, now with Instagram and all the social media platforms that we're all on, it doesn't take as long for the next generation to find their voice, because you can find your voice in a variety of different ways, in a variety of different manners, and take what you're learning in your personal life and translate that into your professional life. Because I think more and more we're seeing those combine, right? Mm-hmm. We're seeing companies take a look at people holistically as to what they can bring to the table, not only just professionally, but also personally as well. If you're a musician and you like to play the guitar and you're working in a company and they end up having a barbecue, maybe they're going to lean on you to create some music and create some atmosphere for that, so that you can combine a couple of your passions together. And I think that's truly what's going to make some significant impact in this industry, is the mindset around that, and the up and coming generation just thinking about the different things, taking a look at where the gaps are. What are the conversations that we're having right now? We're having a lot of conversations about data. So maybe that's something that you need to, learn a little bit more about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that is an overarching theme, is that data is an essential skill that it's just crucial. And I think that is something that the next generation is really going to have to lean into and hone in on. And that goes to being confident and being empowered enough to allow ourselves to fail. I think
yes.
You said something about just trying new things. I know I feel that pressure a lot too, and I'm sure a lot of the next generation does. And I don't even know if it's something that fully goes away, but it's almost like the next generation has this fear of failing. When in reality, there's no fear in failure. I mean, is there such thing as failure? Because
no,
there isn't. There isn't such thing as failure. Yeah. And we learn from them and we grow from them. I mean, and we can take that into anything we do. And so I think when we're talking about confidence within the next generation, I think that I know I can grow in that skill. It's just having the confidence to fail and try new things and learn from our mistakes, because we're not going to learn unless we actually do try and we do fail. And I think that applies to our soft skills in the relationships we're building, but also the technical skills. Learning data and understanding technology, even though the next generation may or may not have grown up with technology at the tips tips of our fingers, you still have to learn about it, and you still have to be welcome. You have to welcome fear, and you have to welcome the idea of failure, because that's how we grow. And I think that's something, again, like I said, I could really learn from that. And that's a huge conversation that I think we could bring to the next generation, and just encouraging that it's okay to not be perfect all the time.
Yeah. And no's are okay. The word no is okay. The more you hear it, the more you're going to be comfortable with it. And no is an okay word. I mean,
I was like, preach to me, Sarah, please.
And I think LinkedIn. Use LinkedIn. I know that some struggle with some of the design aspects of it. And I understand that. I've heard that from a couple of different people. But go onto LinkedIn. Create your network, grow your network, reach out to people, ask questions, comment. It's okay, right? If you're asking a question that maybe they already answered, nobody is going to be cruel about it. They're going to be respectful about it, and they're going to send you an answer.
Yes, I agree. And that's another reason I'm so, yes.
Melanie.
Thank you, Melanie. LinkedIn is such a great tool. It is. And that's why you should continue to check in on Coming in Hot, because I think that's a really great conversation that we're going to have in the next couple months, is what resources can the next generation engage with to ensure that they are becoming empowering, and they're becoming empowered and confident. LinkedIn has been such a crucial tool for me. And so to start that conversation and really encourage the next generation to utilize the resources that are available to them. I also think, with that confidence and with that empowerment, the next generation, one thing that I'm really excited for us to do is that from my opinion, is that we are going to completely change how sustainability and inclusion and diversity is dealt with. I think we're really going to campaign those topics and advocate for them. Obviously, those are huge hot topics right now in sustainability, in supply chain and outside of supply chain. But I really think the next generation, we are going to enter the industry, and we are going to completely crank it up and evolve we're going to come in hot and change how those things are dealt with.
That's why we named this Coming in Hot with Abby Baird.
So true. We're going to come in hot. We're going to change how those things are dealt with, how they're talked about, and we're going to completely change the conversation. Not from, oh, this is something we should do, to like, this is not an option. Like, this is how it's going to be. This is how the world looks like this, and this is how our industry needs to look. But I'm really excited for our next segment. So kind of what I talked about earlier is that I run the Let's Talk Supply Chain TikTok. And so a really fun segment we are going to incorporate. Every live stream is ending it with some TikToks, and then we're just going to kind of react to them. And I would love to hear the audience's thoughts on them. So please throw them in there. And we're going to talk about it. And so for future live streams, please make a TikTok, post it either on TikTok, LinkedIn, any of the social medias, and tag us. And we would love to feature your TikTok on our live stream. Like I said, innovation is so important. So we're going to bring supply chain to TikTok. So I'm excited to share. So for this week's, we have ones that I have made, and then hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can feature some of yours.
Sent out for delivery until it finally arrives at your doorstep, ready for use. What happens after you place an online order? First, it's received by the suppliers, processed, picked, and packaged, sent out for delivery until it finally arrives at your doorstep, ready for use.
I love this one, let me tell you, because it's so simple. It's really fast. You see the product on your feet. You're looking at Amazon, which most people are purchasing on Amazon, like purchasing products on Amazon. And it shows you how we are involved as supply chain professionals from point of purchase to actually receiving the goods and then being on your feet.
I agree. I think that's a really beneficial part. A really appealing part of supply chain for the next generation is that we can walk around the world and see what we're doing in action. We can see the supply chain moving and changing, and that's a really fun part. That's an exciting way to be a part of the supply chain, is you get to see it in the world around you. So I like that one as well. And then
And everything, right? Like if you look at a pen, like every single component in this pen is a raw material that would have had to come from different locations, potentially to one location, to make this particular pen. And it's interesting to really be able to bring it back to, a purchase on Amazon or a pen like this, that, you can really understand what goes into a product.
Well, that's exactly it. Anytime, it's funny, after the pandemic, some people still don't fully understand what supply chain is. And if people will ask me, and I'm like, think about anything in this world. Mm-hmm. Supply chain made it possible. I think that's like mind blowing to me. It's like literally the world would not revolve around supply chain. And so it's so exciting to be a part of that industry. And I'm so excited for the next generation to continue to grow and be passionate about it, because it really is changing the world. And then I think another way it's changing the world, like we already touched on this, like it like sustainability has a huge part of it. And so I want to bring up the next TikTok, which is all about greenwashing.
Call me when you want to be honest.
It's all about greenwashing, which for those of you who don't know in the audience, greenwashing is almost how a company just markets sustainability, but they're not actually having the action behind it that promotes legitimate sustainability. And I think that's, again, something the next generation is really going to change, is they're going to enter the scene and they are going to make sure there is actionable steps taken to promote this quality. So we'll play this.
I'm so disgusted and sick right now. I'm leaving. Okay, gotta go. Call me when you want to be honest. I'm so disgusted and sick right now. I'm leaving. Okay,
That is so the next generation, talking about how, it was kind of like when we talk about the buzzwords, right? We're talking about the buzzwords, and then we're like, where's the action? What have you done behind these buzzwords? And you don't think about it, but that's an actual reaction from somebody sitting back and taking a look and being like, guys, I'm not seeing any action to your words. And so we can no longer do that, because we're going to get called out.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. The next generation, and I believe the current generation too, is entering this stage where, like, we want to see action. We want to see legitimate change. And I think, that TikTok is just so funny because of the audio, but it really is so true. Like, I really just believe the next generation, we are coming in hot, and we're going to make sure that these things that for forever we've been saying, oh, it should be like this, oh, it needs to change. And I just think that is such a special quality about the next generation that is going to come in, is that, like you said, it takes a while to find your voice, but I firmly believe the next generation is finding them and they're learning how to use them. And that is just going to completely change the trajectory of what supply chain management is, what the industry is like, and the steps that are actually being taken. And I firmly believe that. And I think our TikToks show that there's so many different ways to get invested in supply chain. Like you said, it is not men in a warehouse. It is not just that. And so I think that's a great thing about the next generation, to use your creativity, use your strength, use your data-based mind, and make change happen, because the supply chain ultimately is cultivating change. And I'm so excited to be a part of that. And I know the next generation is too. So make sure, everyone, to check out our TikTok. I believe the link is in the comments. Check it out. Look at these videos, because they're honestly they're really fun. And make sure to post some TikToks and tag us. We would love to feature you on our TikTok account.
Yeah, we're featuring, so when you go to our TikTok, we featured other supply chain management students on the TikTok, because I think it's important that we provide the platform for you to be able to really talk about what you're learning and to bring new ideas to the stage in a place that you're already familiar with, like TikTok.
I agree. It's a great place it's a platform to use your voice. So I really encourage everyone to make a TikTok, tag us, and then reach out to us if you'd like to be featured on our TikTok, because, like I said, the next generation is all about promoting voices and making sure yours is heard, and we want to have a role in that. But what can you expect from Coming in Hot the next couple months? You can expect conversations from so many different perspectives and so many different voices, people who are part of my generation, people who've been in supply chain management for decades, people who have had career changes, and there's going to be so many different topics. And I think it's so important, whether you're part of the next generation or you've been a part of the supply chain for so long, to be a part of these conversations, because it is crucial that the current generation interacts with the next generation so we can advocate for the future of supply chain. But Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today. It was absolute delight. Thank you to Ships and Let's Talk Supply Chain for sponsoring our show. And Sarah, I believe this is going to lead to some really amazing conversations and some really awesome change. And this is the start of it. So thank you so much for joining. And it was an absolute delight getting to talk to you. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. Make sure to leave more comments, reach out to us. And it has been an absolute joy.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good rest